The Scottish kings used Monsmeg between 1455 and 1513 to reduce the castles of rebellious nobles. A baron's castle was easily knocked to pieces by the prince who owned or could borrow a few pieces of heavy ordnance. The towering walls of the old-time strongholds slowly gave way to the earthwork-protected Renaissance fortification which is typified in the United States by Castillo de San Marcos. In Castillo de San Marcos National Monument, St. Augustine, Florida. Some of the most formidable bombards were those of the Turks, who used exceptionally large cast bronze guns at the siege of Constantinople in 1453. One of these monsters weighed 19 tons and hurled a 600-pound stone 7 times a day. It took some 60 oxen and 200 men to move this piece, and the difficulty of transporting such heavy ordnance greatly reduced its usefulness. The largest caliber gun on record is the Great Mortar of Moscow. Built about 1525, it had a bore of 36 inches, was 18 feet long, and fired a stone projectile weighing a ton. But by this time, the big guns were obsolete, although some of the old Turkish ordnance survived the centuries to defend Constantinople against a British squadron in 1807. In that defense, a great stone cut the mainmast of the British flagship, and another crushed through the English ranks to kill or wound 60 men. The ponderosity of the large bombards held them to level land, where they were laid on rugged mounts of the heaviest wood anchored by stakes, driven into the ground. A gunner would try to put his bombard 100 yards from the wall he wanted to batter down. One would surmise that the gunner, being so close to a castle wall, manned by expert Genoese crossbowmen, was in a precarious position. He was, but earthworks or a massive wooden shield arranged like a seesaw over his gun gave him fair protection. Lowering the front end of the shield made a barricade behind which he could charge his muzzleloader. In those days, and for many decades thereafter, neither gun, crews, nor transport were permanent. They had to be hired as they were needed. Master gunners were usually civilian artists, not professional soldiers, and many of them had cannon built for rental to customers. Artillerists obtained the right to captured metals such as tools and town bells, and the salute would be cast into guns or ransom for cash. The making of guns and gunpowder, the loading of bombs, and even the serving of cannon were jealously guarded trade secrets. Now here we have the Bombard. Kind of like a medieval mortar. And this says, early small Bombard, 1330. It was made of wrought iron bars bound with hoops. So here we have this. Here's a muzzle, like a mortar. Here are these series of bars, iron bars, wrought iron, and then the hoops sealing it. Then here you have the trestle, or some kind of mount. Here I made a drawing. You're going to love this. The Bombard. It's the muzzle. Here are these bars. Here are the hoops. Here's my stone ball. So here we go. We're going to load the stone ball. And it's loaded. And now we're going to fire it. Boom! Nah, here it is. Boom! That Bombard just shot its 1-ton super heavy ordnance. Okay, so you got that. I'll give you another example of a Bombard, or a nice medieval giganto ordnance. At Aberdeen, at West Point, there was a stone ball that Amy stood next to, and it was like that. But there was no example of a Bombard. Here we have this very medieval craft here. a siege bombard of the 1500s. I'm going to weigh this page down. Hold on a minute. Okay, that's better. So you have this. This is the back end of the Bombard cannon. This is the breech. Here is a cannonball, or bombard ball of solid stone. And then there's a chain link here, line here, and here. And they pull it in. And then there's a guy here with the muzzle shaft to push a ram or something. Here's that wooden shield they hold up. And here's these great wild crusaders or barons of the netherworld or something like that. Medieval fellows. And their chainmail. See the other guy pulling the rope. And over here is a castle. And then they knocked the hell out of it. And these bombards were pretty intense. So, you know, every stone ball maybe was about 700 pounds, 800 pounds. And they'd just blow the castle down. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Bombard production. It was bombastic.